V'yidaber Hashem o Moshe lemor. The kom nikmas b'nei Yisrael me'is ha-Midyonim. Avenge the vengeance of b'nei Yisrael from the Midyonim. Achat te'osef alabecha. And then you pass on to your people. Then you're going to die. Rashi, me'is ha-Midyonim. Why from the Midyonim? Although the only one who cohabited, who was involved, was Kozb Asur. The women were Benos Movios. They were Moabites. Lo me'is ha-Moavim. Sha'Moavim nichnusu l'dova machvasira. Sho yireim mehim. The Moavim, they had a reason to get involved in this fray, because they were afraid. Shu sholom osam. Because they what? They were permitted, we were permitted to plunder them. The only thing we were not permitted is to go to war with them. But in terms of harassment and plundering them, we were permitted. But the Midyonim, they were involved in a dispute which was not their dispute. Their existence wasn't in jeopardy. So what are you getting involved? What's the answer? It was just pure hate. So out of hate, therefore, Hashem says, destroy them. Factually, Midyan also should have, Moab should also deserve to have been destroyed. However, because the two predos, two chicks that are meant to come from them, Rusa Movia Nama Moanis, so therefore, if they would be destroyed, there'd be no future. It's interesting. It's unbelievably interesting. The Gemara tells us in Nozir, from where do we see mitoch shlo lishma bo lishma? Right? So, Rus was a granddaughter of Balak. She was a granddaughter of Balak. Now, why did Balak merit to have such a special granddaughter? So the Gemara says, because Bilam advised him to build so many mizbachos, each time 7 altars, bring karbanos. So in the merit, even though the reason why he brought those karbanos, so Hashem should allow Bilam to curse Klal Yisrael and destroy them, so that's shlo lishma. But factually, too, did he bring the karbanos? He built the mizbachos, the altars, and the karbanos were brought to Hashem. They weren't pagan. It wasn't for some deity, lahavdil. As a result of that, since he built the mizbachos and he brought the karbanos to Hashem, and the merit of that, he merited to have Rus HaMoviyah. His granddaughter was Rus. Yeah? So from here we learn, mitoch shlo lishma bo lishma. Although it was shlo lishma, did he bring it because he wanted to serve Hashem? It was only as a means to destroy Klal Yisrael. Hashem didn't allow Bilam to curse. This comes out interesting. Balak, why didn't Hashem destroy Moab? Was the two special people coming from Moab, Rus. And why is Rus coming from Moab? Because Balak wanted to destroy the Jews. Yeah. The one who wanted to destroy the Jews, Balak, right? The Midianites, they're going to be destroyed. But because he merited to have this granddaughter, because he originally built the Mizbachos to have them cursed, that's why they're going to be destroyed. So Moab is going to survive. You understand? His whole incentive was he's the one who commissioned Bilam. And why did he commission Bilam? To destroy Klal Yisrael. Nevertheless, and what was the outgrowth of this? That Moab should not be destroyed in the merit that the means in which he wanted to destroy us was building the Mizbachos. There's no. It has but even Shlo Lishma has value. Once he says value, then we could talk about. With him, it wasn't relevant. Never, right? Never, but it has because if it would have no relevance to Lishma, then the Shlo Lishma has no value. That's what we always say, Shlo Lishma, Bo Lishma. Lo Lishma, it's like I always give the example. You know, a person works for a company for 50 years and never missed a day, dedicated employee, and now the owner of the company is selling the company. So he presents to the new buyer his prize employee. So he says, this man's been dedicated. That's just an indication of what kind of company we have, this and that. This man says, you know something? If you wouldn't pay me the wage and I wouldn't have the benefits, I wouldn't work here for a day. this and that, and this is what he says. I mean, the previous employees like, can't believe it. Here he believed to be dedicated, and he did everything for the sake. And now he says, finds out the whole thing was self-interest. He has a whole different understanding of him. He says, you know something, I should have fired you years ago. A person says to us, you know something, I couldn't care less about you. You know what? It's all me. It's not you. You know something? You throw the book at the man. It's a total disrespect. It's a disregard. It's almost considered, it's the ultimate level of arrogance. So why does Hashem value it? Shlol Shmo, you shouldn't be rewarded. The answer is because Shlol Shmo Bol Lishma. That since in the Lo Shmo it has the potential to bring the person Lishma, that gives Shlol Shmo value. But if it wouldn't have that value, it's a claim against the person. It's the ultimate level of disrespect. No, it never happened with him. But the reason why Shlol Shma has value, because it has a potential it could bring. Maybe most people, when they do Shlol Shma, they never come Lishma. But because it has that intrinsic potential, therefore that's the reason why Hashem values the Shlol Lishma. Doesn't make a difference who suggests, but factually he brought it. He brought it. Yeah. Right. They appointed him. He was a Midianite. Well, he was killed. He's killed in this battle. He didn't stay very long. Doesn't make that, but he was killed. Factually, he was killed here. In this war, he was killed. From Moab. A neshama could come from anywhere. Right, I'm just saying. Unless maybe say he would have emerged from Moab, he wouldn't have been the ancestor. Maybe he wouldn't have been the ancestor. But seemingly... Therefore he wouldn't have been paid out? No. So we couldn't destroy Moab in either case. We couldn't. Understand? Bolok, it's not, even though it seems to be from certain, from the Rechaim HaKadosh, beginning of Tazria, that neshamas could end up anywhere. It's the merit of the person, that's what brings the neshama. That's what neshama has relevance to that person. The special neshama. I mean, Rus was a special neshama. Okay? So how does Hashem refer to, what's the command? It's Nikmas Bnei Yisrael. Moshe, when he speaks to Klal Yisrael, he refers to it Nikmas Hashem. The vengeance of Hashem. Hashem says Nikmas Bnei Yisrael, and we'll see. V'yidaber Moshe Elom Leimor Hecholzu miyitchem anoshim latzova. Meaning, garner from yourselves people for war. It's a call-up. V'yu al midyon loses Nikmas Hashem b'midyon. There. And they will come upon Midyan, so the vengeance of Hashem should be on Midyan. So Hashem refers as Nikmas Bnei Yisrael, and Moshe says it's Nikmas Hashem. Although he understood that his death is contingent on this, that the moment the battle is over, his life is going to come to an end. Also, b'simcha, v'lo icher. He did it with joy and he didn't delay. How do you know he did it with joy? Chazal to Sifri, he did it b'simcha. No, that doesn't bother me. If he didn't do it with joy, he would have delayed. There's a... Okay, Alan's here. Alan, because he has a self-interest to speak at Shalom, he'll come up with something. Okay? It says that Moshe, when he went to war, he said he went with joy, although he knew his death, it was going to be the contingent. He did it with joy, he did not delay. How did Chazal know he did it with joy? Hashem says he followed the commandment of Hashem. Either you say he did everything with joy, did everything. If it's nachnu more, of course he did everything with joy. He only lives for Hashem, so of course he did it with joy, right? So evidently, if he absolutely did it with joy, evidently this is something special. There was no, despite his dimension, it's possible this he wouldn't have done with joy. So Chazal, Tzifri goes out of its way, so no, he did it with joy. He did it with joy, v'lo icher. I once mentioned.
Delay is consistent with Moshe being a faithful servant. A faithful servant's going to pay.
He runs back anyway.
The biggest chiddush is that he did it with joy.
Something else? Something else? No, but he didn't know. But still, you hedge your bets. You try to do everything you can. It's not unturned this. We'll stay the execution right now. We'll talk about later what else. So I was thinking, what I once said, there's a medrash, famous medrash, it's medrash Tanchuma, that it says Yeshua was meant to live 120 years like his Rebbe. But he delayed. Why did he delay? Why did Yeshua delay? So what I said was, no, it doesn't say in the Medrash. So it says, because Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu that after you pass away, Klal Yisrael are going to do idolatry. So Rashi asks, but idolatry after the passing of Yeshua. So what do you mean after he passed away? So Rashi says, because since a person's Talmud is Chovav Olav Ka'atzmo, as long as Yeshua was alive, he considered himself alive. This is when Moshe spoke. Moshe said, after I pass away, you can do idolatry. But they didn't. It was only after Yeshua that a person's, his Talmud is so Chovav Lo, it's as if he's alive. So why did Yeshua delay? Because he knew that after he passes away, they can do idolatry. So see, what he delayed was L'Shem Shemayim. It was for the sake of God. That's why he delayed. But Hashem says, you have a model to learn from. Don't you think the leadership of Moshe Rabbeinu would have been greater than your leadership? And he didn't delay. He could have justified delaying. Right? But he didn't. Hashem says, do you do? So because he did not, therefore 10 years were deducted from his life. That's the medrash. Okay? He should have learned from his Rebbe. So it comes out over here. If he would have delayed, Moshe would have been L'Shem Shemayim. It would only been for the sake. Because his leadership was one of a kind. There was nobody like Moshe Rabbeinu. But factually, Hashem says, do it. Destroy them. But I'm going to die. So I could wait a little bit. Right? So the Icher is not considered. If Moshe Rabbeinu would have been the Icher, it would have been a claim against Moshe Rabbeinu. It was only a claim against Yeshua because Moshe already set the standard. How you have to see it. That you can't make that kind of cheshbon. So what's the reason why Moshe didn't delay? Why didn't Moshe L'Shem Shemayim? Why? The answer is because Hashem said so. Wait, I didn't get to the simcha yet. First we're talking about the Icher. Right? Okay. For that, you have to wait till tomorrow.